Let me tell you, I never expected the war for my front yard would start over a can of navy blue paint. You know how it goes. One morning you wake up, the air's crisp, the sun's just peeking through the trees, and for no real reason at all, you decide. Today's the day I finally repaint that old mailbox. Maybe it's nostalgia, maybe it's stubbornness, or maybe you just get tired of looking at something faded one more day. For me, it was a little bit of all three, and a whole lot of missing someone who used to care about the details. That morning, I could practically hear Marion laughing as I pried open the paint can she picked out decades ago. She always said the blue had to be just so properly dignified, as she called it, though I used to joke it was closer to her Sunday hat than any color a mailbox ought to be. As I brushed on those strokes, it felt almost like prayer, like maybe if I did it right, I'd get to see her again for just a moment. Guess that's why I didn't notice Martha Chin limping by until she cleared her throat and cracked, "Walter, that blue's brighter than your Sunday shirt." We both laughed, and for a split second, the world was as simple as a fresh coat of paint. By noon the paint had dried, but my resolve hadn't faded. I felt like I'd accomplished something good, right up until I found the envelope from the HOA stuck to my door. Heavy, official, the kind that ruins your afternoon just by how crisp it's folded. Unapproved mailbox color, violation 114. Signed by Karen Bellwood. In a hand so neat you know she practiced it in front of the mirror. And I thought, really? All this over a shade of blue? Now, I'd seen Karen at the last HOA meeting, back Ramrod Straight, smiling so wide it almost looked painful. She was the kind of person who calls the city if your grass is a quarter-inch too high. Still, I figured, let it slide. Not worth the energy. Until the next day, when the fine showed up. $200, due in 10 days. That's when the simmer in my chest started boiling. You ever try to enjoy coffee with friends while your mind's stuck on something petty? That was me at Annie's Cafe. Martha didn't waste time. She find you for blue paint? And Stan piped up, "Karen's drunk on that little rule book." I joked about Marion saying HOA stands for happiness often abolished, which got a few laughs, but honestly, the mood at that table was heavier than the pie. I tried to put it out of mind until Saturday, when my grandson Adam dropped by. He's a lawyer, sharp, but not one for drama. Still, when he read the violation notice, his jaw set in a way that meant business. "This is nonsense," he said, and I knew then that letting this slide wasn't in the cards. Karen herself stopped by later, heels clicking across the driveway, like she was walking into court. "Mr. Harland, I hope you've reviewed our guidelines," she said, syrup in her voice. "Mailbox situation." I cut her off. I read the letter. She kept at it. How they take aesthetics seriously here, how she'd hate for this to escalate. But I just nodded, trying not to let my frustration show. When she finally left, Adam said quietly, "She has no idea who she's picked a fight with." It wasn't about paint anymore. Adam started digging through the HOA bylaws, crumbling, vague, not nearly as strict as Karen wanted folks to believe. He called up Nathan Caldwell, the board secretary, and asked about fine escalation procedures, legality of liens, all the little details. You could hear the nervousness through the phone. "You've read all the bylaws?" Nathan asked. "Every line," Adam replied. And suddenly I remembered him at 16, fighting a bogus parking ticket with more confidence than most grown men have in their lives. Meanwhile, Maplewood Pines prepared for Halloween. Kids bounced between houses, parents strung up decorations, but Karen's rules hovered like a wet blanket. No masks after 6, no inflatables, no glow sticks. She said it was for safety, but you could feel the tension building. Shirley Martinez, a neighbor with 2 little boys, stomped over one afternoon, furious about new threats, tickets for bikes without reflectors. "There's 7, she said. "Not drag racers." People started to grumble, but nobody acted, yet. And then the final warning came. 10 days, or they'd start legal proceedings. Adam read the document, then set to work on a counterclaim. Turns out, Maplewood Pines' HOA charter hadn't been properly registered with the township in years. All those fines, probably unenforceable. It was all bluff or intimidation. The story took a twist when Adam uncovered something big. Karen's house, the one she policed everyone from, wasn't even legally hers. The title had never been transferred from her late husband's estate. By the HOA's own outdated rules, she had no standing to serve. Suddenly, the power Karen wielded so ruthlessly started to look more fragile. Word spread. Martha rallied neighbors for a community coffee. Folks who'd kept quiet for years came together at Annie's cafe, sharing stories, frustrations, even laughter. I spoke up, not because I wanted to, but because sometimes silence does more harm than good. They may own the forms, but we own the street, I told them. For once, that meant something. At the next HOA meeting, everything unraveled. Adam presented the evidence. Nathan backed him up. Shirley spoke out about canceled holidays and heavy-handed threats. Karen lost her composure, snapping at me in front of everyone. You turned this whole street against me, she sneered. But by then, the room had already turned. Someone was filming on their phone. The following day, a letter appeared in the local paper, calling out the culture of fear and favoritism. We don't need a queen on Willow Lane, it said. We need a neighbor. That week, the board voted to suspend Karen pending a full review. The next meeting was calm, almost warm. Adam negotiated a deal. Drop the lien, freeze the fines, audit the books. A quiet vote removed Karen from office. Her own house, still technically not hers. She made no statement, just gathered her things and left. Winter set in, but the neighborhood felt lighter. No more warning notices, no more late-night grumbling. Adam showed me the new leadership model, rotating heads, real transparency. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. I caught sight of Karen one last time. Her house dark, porch undecorated, curtains drawn tight. I left her a plate of cookies on her stoop. No note, just a small gesture. Maybe the last olive branch she'd ever get. The year ended with a tree lighting ceremony, the first in a decade. Children hung ornaments, neighbors sang off-key, and I found myself at the microphone, hands shaking a bit but voice steady. This community isn't about rules. It's about people. May we never forget that. The tree lit up, everyone cheered, and for the first time in a long time, Maplewood Pines felt like home. So, if you're still listening, if you've ever felt powerless under someone else's thumb, or wondered whether it's worth speaking up, remember this. Sometimes it takes just one porch light shining steady to show others the way. When power is misused, it isolates. When it's shared, it illuminates. Now tell me, have you ever seen a rule meant to protect get twisted into a weapon? Or a neighbor become the change their street needed? I'd love to hear your take. Drop your story below, and let's talk about what real community, real justice means to you.